some leaked datasheets for the denizens of Cormora today. We've got Wyches with 3 attacks base at AP-1, and the Dark Lance seems to be a true anti-tank weapon now. Hello and welcome back to Auspex Tactics, where today we're going over a couple of leaked datasheets from the Dark Eldar Codex. As seems fairly standard now, Games Workshop seems to ship the models with their new packaging significantly before the Codex drops, so we get a first look at stat line and profile changes for weapons on the units themselves. Today we have 2 of the core units of the army, Kabalite Warriors and Wyches, both of which will be very helpful to the Drukhari if they suddenly got very good. Let's take a look at what we've got. So first up we have the Kabalite Warriors, which are currently 8 points a model, and I suspect are quite likely to be staying that way, as it's my guess that the latest batch of points changes was written with the Codex in mind. Not 100% certain, but that is what I would suspect at this stage. As we know from the Warhammer community preview, they got +1 attack and +1 to their armor save. The attack's kind of whatever as they're still punching at strength 3, but +1 to their saving throw is actually really quite handy for a unit that's going to be sitting on objectives. Quite arguably, being durable is more important than damage dealing with objective secured troops. It does seem that their standard splinter weapons aren't going to be changed as best we can tell from this preview. They do just seem to be standard rapid fire and pistol weapons with strength 2, AP nothing and damage 1. I know some people were hoping for AP-1 on those things, but it seems not to be the case. It also seems like the blaster and blast pistol are unchanged from their previous variants, which isn't too bad to be honest, as they're both quite decent. Probably the biggest news from this datasheet is that there's a new upgrade to the Dark Lance. Basically it just got very scary against heavy armor. It's gone from damage D6 all the way up to damage D3 +3. It's quite a common switch for the biggest and nastiest anti-tank weapons around now. They seem to be doing this with each codex as they come out. And it basically takes it from an average of 3.5 wounds on enemy troops all the way up to an average of 5 wounds. Very nasty against tanks, and particularly good against anything that's -1 damage. You're still going to be piling a whole bunch of wounds through whenever this one gets a wound through on the enemy. Otherwise, there's the change to the splinter cannon that we already knew about. It's gone from rapid fire 3 to heavy 3, 36-inch range, AP-1 and damage 2. I would argue that change is an upgrade. It is a bit worse against hordes at close range within 18 inches, but it's far better against space marines and most other targets, anything with more than 1 wound. Generally, even if you're firing on the move, you aren't really losing out that much, as the extra AP makes a big difference against anything with a decent save. There are 2 other minor changes to the war gear. The Shredder has got +6-inch range, it would seem. It's now 18-inch range, an assault weapon with D6 shots at strength 6, AP-1 and damage 1. Very nasty and should be good for taking out hordes. Finally, it seems that the Agonizer, if you take it, though it's perhaps not the best choice on an otherwise ranged unit, is now AP-3. It's quite likely to be still poisoned, so it's going to be quite good at both wounding and punching through armor now. Seems like the one to go for me, over and beyond the power sword. So overall, not an absolute ton of changes for the Kabalites before what we already knew. The 4+ armor I think will certainly help them, and is still probably the biggest change out of everything. The Dark Lance profile is far more interesting for vehicles I think. Hopefully they might get a bit more of their niche back on things like Raiders and Ravagers. Secondly, here we have one for the Wyches. Wyches are currently 10 points per model, and much like the Kabalite Warriors, they got +1 attack in their core profile, so the average Witch is on 3, and their Hecatrix leader is on 4. Their Hecatari blades are now AP-1 rather than AP-0, but it does remain to be seen whether they'll still confer an additional attack to each Witch. Whichever way you look at it, it's an upgrade. If they get AP-1 and still get the extra attack, then that's really good, but even if all they got was an extra AP-1 on what they had previously, it's still not too bad. Those extra attacks are a fair bit more relevant for any of their witch weapon upgrades, which are now looking even deadlier. As we said, the Agonizer is now AP-3. The Hydra Gauntlets have got quite a big stat line boost, going up to strength 5 AP-2, though I suspect that the strength boost might be instead of their reroll wounds roll, though again we'll have to wait and see. And the Impaler from the Shardnetter and Impaler has gone up to AP-2 as well. To be honest, these profiles really are quite interesting, but really I think that so much of the Witch's ability depends on their special rules and whether they change much in the new codex, we can't really say whether they're going to be good or bad. In particular, I wouldn't be too surprised if Power from Pain gets a rewrite in the new decks. It already gives decent melee buffs, and it might give you even more interesting ones after this. In any case, I think it looks like good news for both the Kabalites and the Wyches. You can't really go wrong with extra durability for the Kabalites, and extra attacks and extra AP might make the Wyches just that little bit more fearsome in combat again. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. I look forward to reading your ideas, and I'll most certainly be keeping up with the Dark Eldar previews and news as they come out, and do a full review of Codex Drukhari when we get it. Feel free to subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see any of that. Finally, if you have enjoyed the video and you'd like to support the creation of more, I would just like to mention that the channel has a Patreon page which you can find down in the video description. Channel patrons do get a fair few bonuses, such as seeing videos early, regular votes to see what sort of things come next, and automatic entry to the prize draws, so feel free to check that out if any of that sounds good. In any case, a massive thank you for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.